In 2025, Americans gave a record $617 billion to charity. For the first time in history, annual U.S. giving crossed the $600 billion mark. But behind that headline is a story about concentration, influence, and a new kind of donor that is quietly reshaping where the money goes. The Giving USA Foundation reported that charitable donations grew 5.7% in current dollars and 3% after adjusting for inflation. Giving came from four main sources: individuals, foundations, bequests, and corporations. Individuals still account for about 67 cents of every dollar donated. But the fastest growing story is in the largest gifts. In 2025, Mackenzie Scott gave approximately $7 billion to charity. That represented roughly 1/3 of all U.S. megagifts that year, a pool of about $19.2 billion. Over 5 years, her cumulative giving reached approximately $26 billion. She has quietly given away more money faster than almost any individual donor in history. What makes Scott's approach different is not just the size, it is the method. Traditional philanthropy often comes with conditions: branding rights, reporting requirements, strategic oversight, and donor-selected causes. Scott's model inverts that: large gifts, few restrictions, minimal announcements. The nonprofit receives money and decides how to use it. This is called trust-based philanthropy. Scott is not alone. The rise of the mega donor, single gifts of $100 million or more, is transforming the headline numbers. Bloomberg, Gates, Buffett, and the Dells contributed billions to the 2025 total. Together, a handful of ultra-wealthy donors now account for a disproportionate share of the largest charitable gifts in any given year. For nonprofits that receive large unrestricted gifts, the impact can be transformational. Funds can flow to reserves, staff, technology, scholarships, housing, health, climate, and crisis response. A single large gift can give an organization a multi-year financial runway it could never build through small donor fundraising alone. But concentration carries risk. America has over 1.5 million registered nonprofits. When a handful of megadonors drive a disproportionate share of major gifts, smaller organizations without visibility into those donor networks may be left out. Entire regions, causes, and communities can be underfunded, not because the need is absent, but because the donors are not watching. The surge in giving is not disconnected from financial markets. Large gifts, especially from billionaires, are often tied to stock wealth, foundation endowments, donor-advised funds, and estates. When markets rise, billionaire wealth grows, and giving tends to follow. Bequests, charitable gifts made through wills and estates, also surged in 2025, suggesting the early momentum of what economists call the Great Wealth Transfer. Going forward, the key indicators are mega gift totals, bequest growth, donor-advised fund payout rates, and whether unrestricted giving becomes the norm. Watch which sectors receive the most: education, health, human services, climate, and housing. And watch the policy debate, whether the charitable deduction, the private foundation minimum distribution requirement, or the regulatory environment around donor-advised funds begins to shift. Mackenzie Scott did not just give away billions. She exposed a new template for how the very wealthy can move money. Fast, quietly, and at scale. America's charity machine is bigger than ever, but the real question is no longer how much money gets donated. It is who gets to decide where it goes.